Alright guys, so we're going to be doing a video on a 2011 Audi A6 3.0T. We're going to be doing the rear brakes and rotors. I guess rear brake pads and rotors. And give you a little how-to video on how to do that. Let's go ahead and get started. These ones are more typical standard style brakes compared to the front ones with the split calipers. You just have the two 13mm bolts you got to take off, along with this set screw right behind it. It's a 15mm in case you're wondering. Once it's loose, pretty easy. Comes right off. Do the same thing for the bottom. All right. So just pop off the brake caliper. I put them to the side right here. They stay put. Take off the old brake pad. Next, we'll be taking off the T30 torque screw that holds the rotor in place. Not very tight. This one is a little stuck. We get a screwdriver, pry on it, not too hard. Take a little bit more manipulation. Get a hammer. Tap on the face. These were literally gone. Hardly any pad left. It was already getting down to the metal. All right, I'm about to manipulate this a little bit more. All right, we got it. Wasn't too bad. Just took a little harder of a hit. And then as the front, you could just pull them out to the side without taking off the whole caliper bracket. I like to sand down this area with a wire brush, get all the rust off and clean it up a little so make sure everything sits nice and flush. I went ahead and cleaned up the surface of the hub, got it nice and clean. So when you put the rotor in, just make sure you're very careful with it. If you didn't take off the brake caliper bracket, it slides right in pretty easily. No issues. Line it up with the hole for the little T30 bolts. Tighten it down. Okay. And just make it nice and snug, not too tight. You'll break the bolt off in there. And any excess, Little dirt you put on there, just go ahead and wipe it down. If you do get grease on the front surface of this rotor where the brake pad rides on, make sure to clean it with some brake cleaner. And what I do is I just like to check the back to make sure I didn't get nothing on them. Gotta stay nice and clean. Looks good. We're gonna compress the piston on the caliper. So what I do is just on this electronic module in the back, I go ahead and take it off for the parking brake. There's 2 T30 torque screws. Pull those off, I already loosened them. And then it just wiggles right off. Just be careful not to mess with that O-ring up in there. Put this to this side. On the back side right here, there's you could put a Torx in here and turn it. You could actually put a T40 in there. And then you're gonna tighten it down. And then it stops all by itself. And then the parking brake is retracted all the way. Now you could compress the piston. Go ahead and put this back on. Get my ratchet. I just use a ratchet on this because I don't want to break this plastic housing, and make sure it goes on smooth. If I feel any tension while it's going on, I'll back off and make sure there's nothing that's getting any type of a bind. Just tighten it. Not too tight. Alright, now that that's on there, we'll go ahead and compress it. My tool here. So it's compressing all the way in. Almost there. And that should be good. Now, make sure you check this seal right here, not cracked or any of the sort, and it's not leaking fluid here, or else you're gonna have to replace your brake caliper. You don't want to get all that brake fluid on your brake discs, and all of a sudden you're leaking fluid and it ruins your brake rotors and your brake pads, all that stuff. I cleaned off these little pads right here, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and slide in the, guess that one popped off. Slide in the brake pad. Slides right on. Slide in the front one. Slides right on. And that's how it goes. These right here, they're the guide pins. So put your finger on there and it's just a little rubber boot that holds it on. Make sure they're nice and greased. If they're not, if they're getting a little dry and you don't see very much grease on there, go ahead and put the grease, some high temp grease in there, and then slide it back in and just push it in all the way, and that little boot will catch on to the caliper bracket and hold itself on there. And this one has plenty of grease, so just put it back on, slips right on. Now for these bolts right here, I'm going to use a little bit of a Loctite to make sure they stay put. I'm going to go ahead and use the blue Loctite. I have the gel so it doesn't drip off. I personally like that one better. Okay, just slide it on, make sure it's lining up with the holes on the brake caliper bracket. Put some Loctite on the bolts. Put just about that much. Tighten it down. Get the other bolt, do about the same amount. And tighten it down to the whatever the torque spec is on your Audi A6. And that is how you do the rear brakes and rotor replacement on a 2011 Audi A6 3.0T. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe. You have a good rest of your guys' day.